I am Dr. Ratnam, Assistant Professor retired. These days I have been teaching English grammar and English literature for the benefit of the students, those who are appearing for competitive examinations and those who are sitting at home and trying to learn English language. So I hope my videos will help you much in these two purposes, competitive examinations and learning English. So in my earlier video, I taught you on romantic revival. So what were the conditions prevailing in England and in other countries for the establishment of new order in the name of romantic revival. So these are some of the conditions that we have to see for the new wave of so-called romantic revival. Continental influence is one area we have to discuss. Continental influence. What were the factors that were available in Europe? The teachings of Rousseau and the principles of the French Revolution helped to form and direct the ideas of the Romantic and to make them widely accepted in England. So two things were very prominent in this continental influence, that is teachings of Rousseau. Teachings of Rousseau, a French philosopher, taught about the freedom of will and the freedom of the mind. Mind is freed in all aspects, in politics and in literature as well. So his influence is really a lot worked on in the Romantic writers. And the second one is French Revolution. French Revolution brought a great change in the minds of the people, that is equality, liberty and fraternity. So these three ideas brought European land into openness for all things in personal life, in public life as well. One is Rousseau's teachings and the other is French Revolution. In England, Romantics preached the return to nature. Rousseau preached return to nature, the superiority of feeling to ideas, and the need for a great change in the established order of things to secure the rights of the individual, however lowly he might be. So the distinction between the low class and the high class is removed by these two teachings, Rousseau's teachings and French Revolution. So all are treated as common, low people and high class people, and all things are treated as commonly. An individual, however lowly he might be. His writings won him hosts of followers on the continent and had a large circulation in England, where social conditions, though less oppressive than in Europe, produced general discontentment. The Romantics thus had the powerful influence behind them in their general rebellion against tradition and authority, and in their appeal to instinct and sentiment. So there was a kind of discontentment against the custom and the authority. One must write like this, one should not write like that. So this kind of barriers were broken in the field of writing. So this is the background for the Romantic revival. In the French Revolution, with its threefold ideas of liberty, equality and fraternity, many of them saw, as the young Wordsworth did, the dawn of a new hope for the human race. So in this endeavor, at this juncture, a new person with new ideas, that is called William Wordsworth, made a dent into the new way, made his footprints in the new way, that is Romantic revival. Characteristics of the new school. This is another phenomenon that we have to observe. Characteristics of the new school. A reaction against rule and custom. I have already discussed it. A reaction against rule and custom. In the words of Victor Hugo, Romanticism is liberalism in literature. Romanticism means liberalism in literature. That is called Romanticism. That is a writer, Victor Hugo, called it. Romanticism is liberalism in literature. Impatient of formulas, but generous and tolerant in every other way. Generous order and tolerant. But earlier it was intolerant. But now it is tolerant and intolerant in all ways of life. It insists upon spontaneity and the principle that every man has a right to utter his thoughts in his own way. Every man has a right to utter his thoughts in his own way. So this is called Romanticism. Earlier, his thoughts are arrested, his thoughts are scissored, so that one should not think like that. But now, every man has a right to think in his own way and present it in his own way. Every man has a right to utter his thoughts in his own way. When we read the classical writers, we have a general impression of sameness, as if their poems were made by the same machine. But in the works of the Romantic, there is endless variety. There is endless variety. Oh, I told you in my earlier class that is even William Blake wrote on a jungle animal, that is tiger. Endless variety. Every subject is taken up for writing by these romantics. Whatever one feels right in his mind, whatever one feels that his feelings are useful to the society, then that became a matter for writing. The romantic, there is endless variety. Individualism was the keynote of the men. Individualism is the keynote of this movement. Individualism. It was now, however, altogether unguided. It is derived much of its inspiration from Spenser, Shakespeare, and Milton, whom it revered and sometimes imitated. It is important to remember that it was in most regards a revival and not an innovation. The spirit was taken from Milton, Shakespeare, Spenser, so the writers. So what happens is the inspiration was taken from these great writers, so that it is the romantic revival is not an innovation. It is only revival what had already existed in the earlier writers' writings. So it is already existing. It is revival. What is existing is revived now, not innovation. It is not new. A return to nature and the simple life. Earlier it was city life or town life that pervaded every writing. But now, in the romantic writing, the simple life and the rustic life was taken much importance. A return to nature and the simple life. Like Rousseau, some of the leaders of the Romantics commended the simple, natural country life of which so many poets and writers before them. The Augustans were fully alive to natural beauty, but their formal method conveyed still to be the country of the nymphs and shepherds, of the idyls and pastorals. So the Augustans were very much concentrated on supernatural elements and the things beyond the reach of the common man, images beyond the common man's reach. That was the saga of things during Augustan age or classical age. Wordsworth and his friends, however, set themselves to depict in terms of close as possible to ordinary speech, the real life and the people of the countryside. Ordinary speech was given importance. The countryside life was given very importance. Common man was given much importance in the writings of Wordsworth and the other poets later followed. The real life and the people of the countryside. Their characteristics were the plain people of the farm and the village, and their poems were faithful to the facts of their lives and labors. So the themes were very much realistic and nearer to the lives of the rustic people. On such themes, the poets of the lake, the poets of the lake school, so called after the district in which they lived. So lake school is a name given to a band of poets. That is the name of the district in which these people lived. Wordsworth, Coleridge, Southey, and their followers achieved most moving effects by the use of the simplest language. When the occasion demanded, they could of course reach a height of sustained and noble eloquence, but primarily they aimed, as Wordsworth put it, at a selection of language really used by men. So this caption was used by William Wordsworth. Students must remember it and note it down. Wordsworth put it as a selection of language really used by men. So it's not scholarly language, it's not scholastic language. It is the language used by common men. So that has entered into these romantic writings. And another area we have to see for the rise of the romantic writers is variety and individuality. This is another important area. Why romantic writers are respected means it is the variety of subjects, not a stereotype of subjects. It is variety of subjects that were taken up by them. And in most of the writings, individuality that prevailed. So individuality and variety of subjects that appeal very much in romantics. Romanticism had another aspect which we associate with the work of other poems such as Shelley, Keats, and Byron. So these are the romantic writers starting from William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth, Shelley, Keats, and Byron. These are prominent writers of romantic writings. It favored subjectivity and emotionalism, impulse, color. So that color means diversity of subjects, natural color, and emotion, different emotional status, and emotionalism, impulse, and color. These were the landmarks in romantic writing. And the free play of the imagination over a limitless variety of subjects for which it ransacked the ages. They took interest in subjects at present and past and in future as well. So that means they have pervaded all ages. What happened, what is happening, and what will happen. But with Augustine, there was always a certain family remembrance, even if it was only superficial. But the Romantics were entirely individual. The work of one could scarcely be mistaken for that of another. So everyone has his own subject. So it is not mistaken to be the subject of one to be another, because his subject is his subject and somebody's subject is somebody's. And another important area we have to observe is the return of the lyric. So lyric was again brought back, and it has become prominent in the writings, so that Wordsworth wrote poems in the name of lyrical ballads. So lyric became very important. Lyric is a kind of musical note followed by a thought and a lyre. So this is called lyric. The free expression of feeling demanded a lyrical mode of expression. Poetry once more became musical, non-intellectual, serious and impassioned. It became non-intellectual. Once it was only intellect. It suited to the intellect of the people. But now it has become lyrical, musical and non-intellectual. Serious and impatient. Impassioned. In the hands of Shelley, in particular, lyrical verse attained a new scope, a richness and fervor. It was Shelley, still remembered Shelley for his simplicity and richness of thought, richness of images brought from nature. Richness and fervor, and his longer flights have probably never been surpassed. All the great romantics, however, in Europe as well as in England, were lyrics of the first order, and this quality in their work has kept in fresh and alive despite all the changes in taste and outlook since it was written. So all over Europe this is the trend that remained, the trend of simplicity in language and in thought, and the beauty of nature pervaded in the writings of the Romantics. Lastly, the area we have to observe is interest in the Middle Ages. So, Middle Ages, the thoughts and the stories, the images, the writers have gone back to Middle Ages to draw them to the present stage, to suit to the present needs. The stories of the knights, KNIGHTS knights, the stories of the knights, the stories of the earlier adventurers, and all were taken affront for giving a new mode, new thought, and new thought is attached to them, and brought them and labeled it as a romantic piece or romantic writing. The Romantics were fascinated by the medieval life and legend, the art and culture of the Middle Ages, as well as their primitive but virile morality made an appeal to the feeling for the picaresque, which was so strong in all these writers, especially in Scott and Keats. One of the results of this interest in the period was the revival of the ballad form. Later poets turned to the remote in place as well as in time and drew inspiration from the gorgeous East. Even Keats in his odes, Ode on a Grecian Urn especially, he took some form from the custom of the Middle Ages, and a kind of a small piece of urn where a piece of art was engraved on it, and that engravement it's a kind of celebration in the village, and where all the people were out of the houses, and there was a girl running away in amorous feeling. Amorous feeling means not in fear but in love. And so next a young man was chasing that girl, and so it has become a permanent art. The boy chases her, his fiancée, like that. So that became an art. So this custom was taken from the image from the Middle Ages, and it is suited to the modern age, giving a romantic recipe to that writing. And so the writers looked back to get the themes and the images from the Middle Ages even. So this way romantic revival had its own sway for a century or so, and the writers were really delighted in it, and they made the readers get delighted. So if you like this video, you can subscribe it for your continuous programming. Go through it and get benefit out of it. Well.